Today, we will be speaking with Vikell Edwards-Douglas, a youth activist and parliamentarian. In 2020, Vikell was part of the production of a video campaign published by the CARICOM Youth Ambassador Corps of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Department of Youth Empowerment, and the Electoral Office. This video campaign was created to inform and prepare new and young voters of the electorate about the entire voting process. In the same capacity, Vikell is here on Good Morning SKN to speak about the importance of youth participation in election. Good morning, Vikell, and once again, welcome back to Good Morning
guys.
SKN.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. So can you tell us and the viewers, what is the significance of voting?
All right, that's a very good question. And most people often wonder, what happens if I don't vote? But we need to understand that voting is a civic responsibility because it's your right, it's something that must be done if you wish to do it. And even if you don't vote, you can be penalized. It's not against the law if you don't vote, but it's important for you to exercise that right for you to vote. And of course, you're able to choose your leaders who will assist in governing your country. And if you want your country to be governed at its best, of course, you exercise basically choosing who you think will be able to do that duty.
Oh, lovely.
All right, so that's
very clear.
Targeting the importance of voting generally. Let's bring it home to the youth. All right, so that same question with this part. Why is it important for youth to be involved?
For young people to vote. So we understand that youth and young people make up majority of the populations of the world. And we realize that a lot of young people often wonder, what do they get from voting? And of course, it is our responsibility as young people to ensure that we are aware and we're educated on the importance of voting and what happens. And it's not that we allow people to come and mislead us or to manipulate us, because voting is indeed a powerful thing. And I would say as a young person, of course, we need so many things, looking at education, health, security, and the list goes on. And of course, our leaders are entitled to give these things to us. It's not a gift, because if you're running a country, just like a parent, you're entitled to give us what is ours. And as young people, we have voices, and we want our voices to be heard, and that includes the political arena. And within politics, here in St. Nevis, it's also a culture, it's a part of our culture, how things are done. And if young people continue to push themselves out there, I think governments would see that we really need to basically continue to do some reforms, draft new policies to ensure that youth and young people are at the epitome of what they're trying to do. And the more young people rally together and work together and show them that we are here, we are ready, we need to be seen, the better it would be for governments to really understand that we are all they have. And if we are the future, of course, the world does revolve around us.
Oh, great stuff. We did a poll recently where we asked young people from 18 to 35. I don't know if you're aware of that. And I realized that health was all the way at the bottom of the list. That wasn't a big concern for young people. Why do you think that is so?
Well, we see that within St. Kitts and Nevis, when it comes to health, most people prefer to travel abroad to get health assistance for whatever reason. And I know different individuals will have their different preferences. Some would say they feel as if St. Kitts and Nevis is not equipped with enough professionals, or in doctors who are professionals in different areas to deal with certain, let's say, surgeries or certain medical issues. And that's understandable. But what I would say is we realize now that we have new cohort of doctors who just finished studying from different parts of the world. I can remember seeing Dr. Woodley, who is now here, two Woodleys. They were actually from Sandy Point, which is something really good. We have some new doctors on the block. I'm not sure what they specialize in, but I realize that there's a need, of course, to enhance and develop our healthcare system a bit more. Because maybe people don't understand that we are not ready, but steps can be taken. But some people are more so wondering, if I do go to GNF, if I entrust the health system here with my health, what's going to happen? So, of course, I'm calling on the Ministry of Health to try to see how they can kind of reach out to the country on a whole and encourage people to use the facilities we have here, even just to come and do simple checkup, because it's important. And we can't allow citizens every time there's an issue for them to go abroad because the money is going out of the country. So Is it that we need to try to get specialized doctors in different areas? Do we need to restructure how we do certain things at the hospitals, at the Ministry of Health? But we need to be able to give our citizens some assurance that things are happening and the healthcare is not the best, but it's getting there at least.
Okay, good stuff. I love that.
All right. This question, I'm going to put you in the hot seat a little bit, and you can answer it very generally, but I do want your opinion on it. We spoke of the importance of youth voting, and what I'm seeing now by way of the political parties is that we have a lot of youth coming forward hoping to be parliamentarians, some more successful than others if you follow the party line, some who were, let's say, I don't want to say bypassed, but that's really what happened, in favor of more seasoned politicians from certain parties, and yet other parties, the newest party, it seems, definitely going along that youth alley to say, well, you know what, we have youth representatives. Do you have any predictions as to what would be most favorable for youth in the upcoming elections?
The thing is, this election is one that is very difficult to follow because anything can happen. And we saw from the last elections, we have what you call a lot of surprise parties here and there. Certain things just popping up and it's like, what's going on? But some parties who are leaning towards basically revamping the faces of their campaigns or revamping their party to cater to young people, that's something that's good because it's now for us to pump in that fresh blood, as we would say. And if you realize that a lot of young faces are now being a part of politics, then if you realize now a lot of young people are rallying around these different parties because there's something in it for me as a young person. And within these young people, maybe there's something I can see because I can look at one of these individuals and I can say, I see myself within this person, whether it's through social, something socially, emotionally, physically, and mentally. This is somebody I can resonate with, this is somebody I can connect with. And that's something most young people look for. It's not to say that I need money, I need house, I need land. It's something to say, I can connect with you. And with politicians, people vote for people who they can trust, who they can connect with, who they can relate with the most. So I applaud the parties, of course, who are revamping and trying to ensure that young people get a say, and to encourage young people to be a part of politics, because if we don't have enough young people, we're going to see the same faces over and over and over again. And then the same thing happens, we're going to get fed up of seeing these same old people. People are not going to want to vote because I'm saying, okay, I'm fed up of seeing this person. I need something new. The same manifestos over and over and over again. But we have a vibrant, brilliant, fresh face. I'm eager to see what's going to happen next.
We have a video. We're going to take a look at a video campaign that was published in 2022, which was intended to inform and prepare young voters about the entire voting process. Let's take a look.
That your name is properly registered. Also, find out which polling station you should use in advance. Lists are posted at 2 recognizable buildings per polling division per constituency. But the safest place to go for this is to the Electoral Office. Of course, it helps to know which constituency you are in and which polling division.
Ensure that you have a valid government-issued ID, like your voter's ID, your social security card, your passport, or your license.
If you have none of these, but you can verify that you are registered, you can take an oath in order to vote.
On the big day, it is best if you get up and get out as early as you can. Don't forget to take your mask and stand 6 feet apart from one another. Be prepared to be sanitized as you enter the polling station, and be ready to deposit your cell phone and pocket contents in the container provided.
While you wait, and even before this, you should know the symbol of the party that you are supporting.
Once inside, present your form of ID to the registration clerk. You will be required to state your name, occupation, and address to the electoral officers and the party agents present. The residing officer will then check to verify your eligibility, and your picture ID will be checked against a picture list that the officials will have. At this point, you will be asked to temporarily remove your mask to reveal your face.
Next, the presiding officer will present you with the ballot and explain the instructions. Then the ballot will be folded and presented to you. You will then be required to go into the booth and make your mark. Ensure that it doesn't touch the sides of the box on the ballot. Refold the ballot and return it to the presiding officer. If your mark touches the side of the ballot, your vote will not be considered valid.
After giving it to the presiding officer, he or she will remove the counterfoil from the ballot and store it. You would then be asked to dip your finger into ink, ensuring that the digit is covered. If you refuse to do this, your vote will be declared spoiled and it would not be deposited into the box.
The presiding officer will then invite you to watch your ballot being deposited into the box. However, you can request to deposit it yourself.
Check to ensure that your name is proper.
What do you think is the most nerve-wracking thing about voting for the first time? I'm going to just give you a little tidbit about me. I was afraid that I was going to touch lines. So I was nervous. I was just holding down and just really trying.
I think that is it.
Okay.
My first time voting, I took a while.
Okay.
I entered into the box and I was just standing looking at the ballot for quite some time. And I have a bad handwriting. And when I'm nervous, I tend to shake a bit. So I had to breathe, go again, come back, breathe, go again, come back. And I ensured that I took my time and I made a stroke at the time to ensure I had to hold my hand a bit.
Okay.
And ensure that the X doesn't touch the box or go outside of the box. So
okay.
I think making the mark is the most difficult, the most nerve-wracking part
Your
of
first
voting.
time voting.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, this is the funny part, because your experience about being there for a while, wanting not to touch the edges of the boxes, people have that experience, but not necessarily because they are afraid of touching the edges of the box. It's like, which box do I pick?
Excitement.
That's so, yeah.
Some people vote for everybody.
Exactly. Which makes no sense, because that's a spoiled ballot right there.
There are some people that do. So we saw you in that video, obviously educating people, and more so I would think the first-time voters would definitely appreciate videos like that. Was there anything in particular that you thought was the most important part of that video that needed to be showcased, perhaps more than others?
Well, I can't say for sure because I believe the information presented, all of it was important.
Okay.
And each person will, of course, have their little takeaway from it, whether it's getting up early to ensure you go to vote, or reminding you to not touch the lines, to remind you, ensure you have your ID, or let's, for example, what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, I think that's, you know what, this is a thought that I had when I was watching that. I thought, you know what, we're talking about touching the lines, we have those concerns, and nobody ever says to you, hey, you did it wrong, because they're not supposed to see what you did anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So there's the privacy factor in there. I wonder if we'd ever get to the point where we automate that process, where you get that prompt that states, you know what, this is an invalid vote, perhaps you'd like to try again.
Yeah, because
that might be something that a young person could introduce. Putting it out there.
That's very ticklish, because we know that when you vote, it's basically your privacy, you know, you want that to be confidential because it's your time to really do some thinking. Let's say maybe, for example, if they want to put a process in place where it's optional, like for example, they would have somebody at the booth and they would ask, would you like me to take a look at your ballot for you? And they would say yes or no if they want to introduce that. But I don't think that is something that will bring about anytime soon.
Yeah.
And if I basically give you another chance to vote, it's somewhat unfair.
Yes.
Well, in terms of taking the human component out, the automation is part of it.
What about the automation?
Pretty much like a teller machine.
It's still a bit ticklish.
Oh, yeah?
And then sometimes when we're trying to do certain things, we have to be very careful because to some it might be a really good idea, and to others, we want to know where are we really going with certain things. So I think it's good the way it is, and that is why it's very important for us as whether leaders or certain organizations to inform our people on how to do certain things. And we realize that we don't have much video that it pertains to voting and elections. We just have people come, go out and vote for this party, put the X by this, put the X by that, wear your colors, shout this, but we don't really take some time out to put together whether even videos within your political party to show people in general how to vote.
How to do it.
What you do on the day before, the day off, what you do when you go into, what to say, what not to say, and these certain things, because sometimes, I think I remember for sure in 2020 when I voted for the first time, there was an instance with an individual who wasn't aware of certain things. They were voting for the very first time, and they were wearing a shirt with party paraphernalia, which is against the law on election day.
Yes.
So these things do happen, believe it or not.
So to inform people, good point for comment.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that he said that, because maybe some young person that's watching will know, okay, I can't wear my shirt on that day. So, Vikell, can you encourage the younger generation to go out and vote, please? Because we have a voice, and we need to use our right or exercise our right to vote?
So, young people, it's your time, it's always your time, and I am taking this opportunity to invite you to come out and be a part of our general elections. Yes, it's a bit nerve-wracking. Some of you, it's your very first time, but once you follow the rules and regulations, you're going to know what to do. Of course, if there are certain things you don't understand, you can visit the Electoral Office, ask questions, feel free to reach out to representatives or ministers if you wish, or even people who are versed within the political arena who can give you some advice. If you feel as if it's a difficult decision, take some time, breathe, think about it, but do not, I repeat, do not lose this chance to exercise your right to vote. Represent yourself, represent your family, represent your people, and do something that is going to ask you to just take a leap of faith. Because when we vote for people, we are taking a leap of faith. But never forget that this is also your civic responsibility. So go out, make yourself proud. Choose who you think will be best to govern this country for the next 5 years. Unless you have another, you know.
And then you have to do it sooner. Yeah.
I know.
Great advice, Vikell. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I feel like I live here. I feel like I work here.
Yes, local celebrity.
I've been here for like about 4 times, but it's always a good experience.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And I'm hoping that these interviews and this information is able to reach a lot of young people.
Yes.
And they're able to understand, and I'm hoping that they'll be encouraged to go out and vote, whether for just to do it for the first time to get the thrill of voting, whether to exercise the vote, or whether to just get involved and be with friends and family, because that's always something enjoyable.
A fun time to be out and about.